Spidey is joining me this morning for all sorts of comic-y goodness. It is bright and early, and I wanted to catch up with you guys. I missed a whole week of comic books, so I think this week we're going to be doing two This Week in Comics Live, where basically I'm going to be breaking down my favorite comics from the week before and then previewing that week's books. But since we're a week behind, we're going to be reviewing the comics from the week of November 6th. We're going to be talking about the news from this past week. We're going to be diving into basically the first week of November's comics, the second week of November's news, and previewing the comics that are on the shelves right now. So, nice little medley of stuff, and I'm hoping either Thursday or Friday to be caught up on this week's books. And basically, we're going to do this all over again with the new Is it back? Am I a person? Let's see if that worked. I tried some stuff. The audio might not be as good. I had a mic on. I unplugged it in general. Let me know if that is doing anything. Are we back in business? Are we doing a show? Is this working at all? Let me know if we have sound. I hope this did something. Maybe? Maybe? Okay, let me know in the live chat. Guys, chaos, trying new things, trying to make it work. Have a general glow. But yeah, so let's talk about the news from last week. Let's kick it off with the Denzel Washington news. It looks like we're getting not only confirmation on Black Panther 3, which we did not have officially, but we also now have confirmation that Denzel Washington is going to be in Black Panther 3. He, while doing press for Gladiator II, said that basically Ryan Coogler is writing a part for him in the third Black Panther, and that it's Ryan Coogler, so he'd do anything basically that Coogler wants. He wants to work with Ryan Coogler, which I get. Like, Coogler is such a force of nature, in my opinion. He hasn't had a miss yet, and I love Denzel Washington just blindly trusting in a filmmaker. I also think it's really interesting. We have an announcement, not intentional, but it's from Denzel, so I feel like it's good accidental press. He did the next day clarify / maybe do some damage control that he doesn't know how big the role is. It could be one page, could be one line, could be one scene. I'm wondering if it's either of two scenarios. One, there is a legacy of Black Panthers. Basically, there are multiple Black Panthers throughout time, and I'm wondering if we're going to get him either in another timeline, like Deep Future, Deep Past, maybe he is Black Panther in one of those, or if he's a Chady, I believe is how you pronounce the name. A Chady is a really cool villain from the Black Panther lore that I think Denzel could fit. He is his simplest of abilities is he's an insanely manic ventriloquist, but he's got this insane grin. He has this intensity. He has all the things I think that the great Denzel Washington could really elevate in a role, and he's a character people have wanted to see in the past. He's another character that I could see being elevated in the medium of movies. So I'm really curious. Let me know in the chat what you think Denzel Washington might be doing in the world of Black Panther. Now that we know it's real, what's the context going to be? I'm really curious what your thoughts are, everyone in there. We also this week got all sorts of craziness with someone noticing that Scarecrow was in fact teased in The Penguin. Throughout The Penguin Season 1, we're going to do spoilers for, I guess, an out-of-context element of The Penguin. It's not really a spoiler, it's just something that wasn't ever fully landed, but we've got confirmation adjacent. I'm curious if anything develops from it for the Batman going forward, that Theo Rossi was in fact a version of Scarecrow. There's an episode where we see his full office, and deep in the background on the desk is a burlap sack-esque mask, which is very much obviously the Scarecrow, as well as what looks like an Arkham video game-esque glove to emit the fear toxin. So, including myself, a lot of the internet wanted and thought Theo Rossi was an entity bigger than how he was being portrayed. I've been curious from the very beginning what that meant as far as going into the Batman. Was it going to be a reveal? And then for a while I thought maybe it was the archetype of basically the Harley Quinn that supports Mr. J kind of felt like the inversion with Sophia and Julian Rush, because Sophia very much felt like the Joker trapped in Arkham. The crowbar element, the way that Julian was like, you know, doing anything to appease her, there was that cool dynamic. So I was like, maybe Theo's just a Harley Quinn archetype to Sophia's Joker, but the Scarecrow element. And I'm really cool with this this name change thing, where like Paul Dano's name was changed to Edward Nashton instead of Edward Nigma. I think if we get cool surprises like Julian Rush being Jonathan Crane, it's well worth it. But I'm really curious what you guys think. Do you think we will see Theo Rossi, who is so amazing in everything he does, Sons of Anarchy, Luke Cage, a bevy of other stuff, giant Wu-Tang fan roulette? Will we see him as Scarecrow? Do you think it was cut after the fact so they could use Scarecrow in another property? Do you think this was just a fan tease? What do you guys think? I'm very curious. In the comments, let me know. All right, let me see the chat. I want to know what you guys think about the glory of Denzel. So my theory is that Denzel will be playing an old man T'Challa variant who lost his son and will end up training T'Challa's son. Oh, that's a fun one, Abernathy. Richard Fearing says, what's up, Cole? I hope you had a great weekend. I hope this Monday is good to you as well. Stay great and be well. I appreciate that very much. Naveen says, who do you think he's going to play? I honestly think he's going to be one of the leads as a Panther. My guess is Arceon, Kevin Cole, or a time-displaced Bashinga. I think a time-displaced character is very possible. I also think with Gladiator, he might want to play in other times. I used that image on the cover for a reason. I'm very curious if he plays a different timeline Black Panther. He certainly has the presence for it. It would be amazing if he was original holder of the Black Panther mantle, if he's an ancestor. Yeah, Michael McCarcel, I agree. That's what I'm thinking is going to be some sort of ancestor, some sort of deity that either represents in the astral plane or in a flashback in real life. How we're going to get that. Hello to everyone chiming into the chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, I'm very excited that Penguin is going to be in the Batman 2 and 3, Scott Reyes. Eddie Nexus says Theo is great. He would make a great Scarecrow. Same for Riddler. Just let the characters have their names. I know they want to be realistic. Just own. Oh, see, I think it's cool because then we've got like a surprise. I like the name change because if we introduced Theo Rossi as Jonathan Crane in episode 1, I would have been like, well, that's Scarecrow. But since he was Julian Rush, I didn't piece it together, which I enjoyed. So yeah, I personally dig the name change. I have no problem with it personally. We get this movie before Secret Wars, you think? I don't know. Were we rendering again? God, I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm doing my best. I apologize for any of the buffering. Just trying to keep up with whatever internet is happening. Okay, we're back. Okay, so those are the two biggest stories from last week. And by the way, the reason I couldn't film last week is because of a really cool job I booked that I think I'll get to announce the first week of December. So stay tuned. I'm very excited about that. Cannot talk about it just yet, but when the time comes, very excited to talk about it. Also, yeah, Spidey Cat's been right here. He's helping me bag and board, you lovelies. He is hiding in plain sight. He is amongst the comic books. Fun fact about Spidey Cat, he genuinely loves comics. He loves the plastic of bagging and boarding, so when I'm bagging and boarding, Spidey's usually right there with me. Yeah, doing your own channel is not easy. I'm so used to working at other channels where the technology is set up, and I just do the hosting for it. But the editing, the filming, the making of thumbnails, all of the extra stuff is a lot. So that's one of the reasons I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a chill, laid-back comics and coffee. Internet notwithstanding, just having a vibe. But yeah, Spidey's right here. He's being adorable. I love you, son. He's just gonna vibe with us. Yes. So the other bit of news that I thought was cool we got this week is we have a Fantastic Four synopsis. Now, it's pretty vague. A lot of people have been sharing a fake synopsis. A lot of people have added to the synopsis. As far as I can tell, this is the true version that is coming out. It is very vague, but it's not even a spoiler. I'd say spoiler warning, but there's no real spoilers in here. It's a synopsis for a movie that's not out for another 9 months, so I think you're good. But the synopsis for Fantastic Four seems to be set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. The Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald Silver Surfer. And if Galactus' plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. I am so curious about all of this. We knew Jennifer Garner, or I guess this now confirms Jennifer Garner playing Silver Surfer. We know we have Galactus with that incredibly voiced Ralph Ineson. I love the two of them. I think we get a Galactus that devours in an accomplished way, and we escape that universe, and then we see Norrin Rad. I think we get both Norrin Rad and Juliet Garner's take on Silver Surfer. But I think that's a great way to mark we're not in Kansas anymore, that we get a different, universe. But yeah, I think this synopsis kind of says everything we already knew. I think a lot of people are freaking out because of the version that had stuff in it that isn't necessarily true. So that is, as far as I know, the official synopsis, and it sounds very classic Fantastic Four. Very glad to hear it. That drops in July. I am so stoked. We got a couple more quotes, and then I'm going to get to my favorite comics from the week of November 6th. And once again, if you're just joining in on the end of the week, Thursday or Friday, we're going to be back on schedule, and I'll be giving you guys my favorite comics from just a couple days ago, the 13th. Today, I'll preview some of the books I'd recommend you pick up, and then I'll also be bagging and boarding and stuff for the end of this. So if you got any questions, get a super chat or Streamlab in, and I'll be sure to get to each and every one of those. But the quotes I wanted to talk about are Elizabeth Olsen saying exactly what I've been saying for years. I just love when people with a huge platform say it because it's so true. Elizabeth Olsen says that, quote, Marvel films help keep theaters able to pay the rent, which in turn allows for more small films to make their way to the big screen. I agree. That's one of the reasons I tout these films so loudly, is films that are for literally everyone allow the more niche films to have a platform. I love an art house film, and I love when I can, spend the time, money, and effort to review them. But a lot of times those are me taking a loss. Reviewing movies that get 2,000 views, that isn't price logical. Same thing with when you're releasing a film, and it costs tens of thousands of dollars a day to have it in theaters, to get it distributed. All those things cost money. If theaters don't have the giant hundreds of millions of dollars films to keep the theaters open, the smaller films don't have a place. So I love that Elizabeth Olsen's defending these movies. She's even had a rough go of how her character is treated, and she still knows that if she doesn't do, those kind of movies, theaters don't stay open, and then the indies don't have anywhere to go. So I love her talking about that. She also came out saying streaming's not exactly for her, and again, a woman of my own heart, saying, quote, I think streaming is sometimes the only option for small films to be seen. I just don't have an interest in making something with the intention of knowing it's for streaming. Hard agree. I don't tend to watch streaming films with as much enthusiasm as theater. I like the theatrical experience. I personally like to see everything that's released in theaters. I will go out of my way to not watch a Netflix movie. If a Netflix movie is playing in a theater, I will see it there. The movies are made for the movies. So if something's for streaming, if I was an actor, I would be less enthused. If I had the option between 5 movies and one of them was in just streaming, I would probably chuck that one first. Now, there's a lot of money in streaming for now, but that's not always the point. So I love what she had to say. I think that it is a very important message that these big 4 quadrant films are allowing indies to exist, and that streaming isn't necessarily the way you want your art enjoyed for the first time. But that's just my take, and that is Elizabeth Olsen's take via those quotes. The last quote I want to give you guys is from Ryan Reynolds. I would love to read a book or an outline or something. I want to experience the journey of how many different Deadpool variations on Deadpool 3 there were. I know it was developed over a really long time. I know they wrote a lot of different outlines. This one fascinates me. I would love to see the outline for this. Ryan said, quote, not the quote yet. Ryan said a scrap concept for Deadpool and Wolverine would have seen Deadpool appear in various MCU movies, saying, quote, it would show that he was in the MCU the whole time. You just didn't see his scenes because they were all in the cutting room floor. I love the idea of using various deleted scenes, various additional photography, various elements of films that didn't get used, or alternate angles of things. You remember Civil War had an entirely different angle and usage in that one post-credit scene than was actually in the film. I'd love if they did something like that with a full Deadpool movie. So funny to me. The idea, if they didn't do the Fox, intermingling, they just have Deadpool having been in the MCU, just ignored the whole time, would have been hilarious. They used that Thor footage that was from something else and put him in it to have that why is Thor crying running joke. If there was a whole movie of that, I would love that. And it would probably be a fairly inexpensive way to do it. I'd love to see like a $75 million take on Deadpool that then would make, $500,000 at least. yeah, I love that whole vibe. I really wish that existed. I'd love to see it one day. Maybe Deadpool 4 or Deadpool 3.5, or like Anchorman 2.5. Could be just this cut up. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Last bit of stuff I want to talk about before I get to my favorite comics from November 6th. There is an awesome Green Lantern statue in Burbank, California. If you lovelies live in Southern California, if you find yourself in Burbank, the Empire Center, which is where there's like an Olive Garden. It's the only Walmart, I think, in LA. It's like North Burbank, approaching the airport. It's called the Empire Center. It's easy to find if you know those words. Hangar 28 is, if you're driving in from the north, from the top entrance, on the left, over by Olive Garden and GameStop. So I mentioned Olive Garden, because right there is a 7.5-foot John Stewart statue, plus a platform. So probably about 8.5 feet. That is stunning. It's so freaking cool. It's a great rendering. It's based on Jamal Campbell's art. Huge fan of Jamal Campbell's work. Huge fan of John Stewart Green Lantern. Love to see the character get some love. He's got his ring up and he's holding the lantern. You can check out my Instagram for all sorts of goodness of it. I got some video up there. I got some photos of it. But yeah, it's really, really cool. Highly recommend it. Definitely my jam. But yeah, if you're in Burbank, especially if you're in any Southern California, there's a Batman over by the AMC 16. There's that John Stewart. I hope there's a lot more to come, but it's pretty freaking cool. So just wanted to give it some love. Cannot wait for Aaron Pierre to play John Stewart. It was really cool to see it in person. To give me that, like, man, we're getting this in a movie soon. That is just so, sorry, as a show, and then hopefully movies soon, which is just so very exciting. All right, I'm going to check the chat out real quick, and then I'm going to tell you guys about some comics. I like this. It feels like I'm at the table with him, with me and Spidey. We're just vibing. Coffee and comics, you lovelies. This is... I mean, they're going to change this week in comics to another name because apparently it's confusing. Maybe we'll call it Comically Caffeinated or just Coffee and Comics. Either way. Appreciate you guys catching me live. Bunch of lovelies in the chat. Let's see. All is well, Curtis Mason. Thank you very much. Good to see you, man. Glad to catch you live. Appreciate that, Tyler. Thoughts on Arcane? I was going to review it, but it's not my kind of thing. I watched the first episode. A lot of people love it, and I love how popular it is. I love how well it's doing. I love passionate fandoms, and I was going to make that my November. I was going to try to catch up on all the episodes in time for the season 2 finale. But one, that's way too much. I just finished this job 2 days ago. That was awesome, and I'm really proud of it, but that meant I would have to watch all of that in the next, 5 days. And I watched the first episode. It just wasn't my thing. It felt to me like watching video game cutscenes instead of playing the video game. And I know some people love watching video game playthroughs. I never have gotten that. Yeah, just the pacing was like watching cutscenes and wandering around picking up stuff and analyzing this. And it felt like a video game, which I think is a beautiful thing for people that love video games. But that wasn't my jam. So not really my thing. It's beautiful. The animation is staggering. The voice acting's impressive, just not my genre, not my type of thing, so wasn't for me. Coffee and Comics fits you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. The brick, fantastic. Chloe makes waiting in the lashing rain at night for a bus bearable. I hope the lashing rain, well described, sir. Beautiful use of adjective. Very succinct, but I feel it. I feel like I'm there with you. I hope it is bearable. I appreciate you being here very much. Comics and coffee, because my local comic shop is called Coffee and Heroes. The two go very well together. I think we're gonna figure something out with this format. I like the morning vibe. Also, this beam of light is so intense. But let's see. If I open this, oh, it's so much worse. You know what? It's just not an option. We're gonna figure out. The sun is exactly where I am, and I've been blind this whole time. But if I close any of this, anyway, let's talk about comic books. The actual comics. The thing that YouTube does not have a lot of is videos about the comics themselves, and they don't do as well, frankly. Movie content and the TV review content is always going to do a fair amount better, but at the end of the day, I want comic books to be a medium that people love and enjoy and vibe with, so I'm always going to espouse, if you like the movies and shows, try out a run of comic books. And what I try to do is I read about 70 comics a week, and then I give you my favorite 9. The reason for 9 is it fits in a grid. And over my Patreon, basically I give you all of that I give you the 40 or 50 new comics I read. I'm probably reading 10 to 20 back issues and stuff for my other work, but the 40 or 50 new comics I read, I'll even rate the ones I didn't like over on Patreon. But the image is going to be those 9. So people always ask why 9, because it's a grid. So if you want to check out my Patreon, it's Coyjandro, and I rate everything. Literally, if something is a C or a D, it's over there. If it's an A or a B, it's probably in my top 9. But I basically give you the breakdown over at Patreon of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, TV shows, movies, comics, and everything else. But people have been asking lately, why the 9? And that's because it's a beautiful grid. If you want everything, like all the comics I read, check out my Patreon. I never think to talk about it because I'm not good at plugging things. I also forget to talk about my podcast. I've got a podcast called Coycast. I'm filming it today after this. That's one of the reasons for this to be so early. So if you want to check out me in long form with my buddy Jake talking all sorts of comic goodness, head on over to Coycast. You can get it anywhere you stream your pods, anywhere you cast your pods has Coycast. And then Patreon is where I give you all ratings, not just the good stuff. All right, first comic from the week of November 6th. 2024. We are 1 week behind. By the end of this week, we won't be. My favorite books from that week, the first of which is going to be Absolute Superman #1. Absolute Superman is incredible. I've really loved this Absolute launch, this imprint. This whole line has been great. I really love the Batman reinvention. It definitely is different. Didn't expect it. Wonder Woman, sent her from paradise, she's from hell. Superman, instead of being a figure of hope necessarily, he's in a more hopeless world, and he's a figure of defense. He's helping out a very different type of way. And I really dig this. I don't want to give anything away, but I love the twists and turns in Absolute Superman #1. The art is amazing. The writing's fantastic from Jason Aaron. This book is a delight. Next up, we've got Avengers vs. Aliens #2. This is one of the prettiest books on the shelves. It feels so cinematic. This is Asad Rabis on art. It is Jonathan Hickman writing it. It is absolutely staggering. Highly, highly recommend you check out Avengers vs. Aliens. It actually gives a very plausible reason for these two sets of characters to intermingle. The stakes are so real and so intense. Really dig this book. And Old Man Downey Jr. Stark is shining bright here. Then we've got Birds of Prey #15. Love this title. The second arc didn't hit for me as much as the first. This new third arc is absolutely delightful. Love the team dynamics. Love the way these women work together. Love how intense the action is, but the comedy absolutely sings. There's such good sitcom-esque banter set in a crazy world that really, really works for me. This is why I love comics. Birds of Prey #15. Next up, we've got My Adventures with Superman #6. This takes place in the continuity of the My Adventures with Superman show. The animated series of Jack Quaid voicing Superman. If that is your jam, I highly recommend you check out this comic. I also, if you have kids, great jumping on point for kids to read comics. All ages, very appropriate, very delightful. This issue has an Amazo Robot Experience Christmas. This one is so heartwarming, so warm, so fuzzy, so festive, so holly jolly. Really, really love this issue. Love this book overall. Love this universe. Next up, we've got Poison Ivy #27. Now, it is #27, but it might as well be #2. There's an all-in moment happening at DC. So you've got Absolute Comics, which are effectively new showrunners on with characters you already love, whereas All In is like a new season of a show with a brand new episode to kick off the season. So basically, All In is a great jumping on point for fans in regular continuity. Absolute is a great jumping on point for fans in brand new continuity. All In started last month for the most part. This is the second issue of Poison Ivy's All In, and it's awesome. I love this team dynamic she's built. I love her family. I love the way she's addressing the eco-terrorist element of her character. I love everything about this. Highly recommend Poison Ivy all around. Then we've got Public Domain #10. Highly, highly recommend Public Domain if you care about the comic book culture of what it takes to produce comics. Comic Con, this one takes place at San Diego Comic Expo because they can't use San Diego Comic Con. But it's about the publishing side. It's about how no one talks about comics to the scale of movies and what it takes to actually get the comics themselves out. It is written and illustrated by Chip Zdarsky. He is a genius. He is hilarious. He is a light. He obviously knows comic culture quite well. This book is really great if you're into the nitty-gritty of comic books themselves and love family-type, drama humor. And then we've got Saga #70. Saga #70 is full tilt back to Saga's OG flavor. When Saga came back after a multi-year hiatus, the first arc or arc and a half was a little off for me. This is back to hilting at full tilt. It's characters introduced every page that you're somehow immediately in love with. It's twists and turns and character deaths you never expect. It is space opera hijinks. It is so Saga. If you know me, I've been talking about Saga for 10 years. I love this book. It is so spectacular. Issue 70 is no exception. It is the young squire heading off on another adventure solo, basically going to a school to try to work through his stuff. It is very interesting what is happening in the world of Saga. Then we got the Ultimates number 6, you lovelies. The Ultimates is, I talked about Absolute earlier with DC. Ultimates is Marvel's new universe at all times. In the year 2000, Ultimate Spider-Man changed comics forever, one of the highest selling comics ever. Basically, a huge part of what inspired the MCU is making a modern origin for Spider-Man set in the year 2000 instead of 1962. And then that spawned Ultimate X-Men, Ultimates, Ultimate Fantastic Four. That ran for like a decade. Ultimatum ended that universe, and Miles Morales was one of the only things to survive. Miles Morales and the Maker survived. Now, 10 years later, 14 years later, in 2024, we have a new Ultimate Universe, and the Maker is trying to get rid of all heroes. So in this universe, heroes never got their powers, and the Maker was able to manipulate that reality accordingly. This is a group of Avengers that is kind of unsanctioned. They're doing what's right in a world that doesn't see heroes as beneficial. So it's a really interesting take, and this issue deals with a big culmination fight that we've been waiting for some time. Ultimates number 6, and my final book for the week of November 6th, my favorite book from that week, is going to be X-Men number 7. I love the team dynamics in this book. I love everything that is happening with the art. I think it's the Ryan Stegman style. Stegman's not actually on this issue, but he's changed the X-Men illustration style forever. It's very intense. I love the story that's being told here with the new team of X-Men that I actually care about. It's a nice blend of new characters and old characters, but the new ones don't feel shoehorned in. This is basically a Cyclops issue with Magneto, and they've had to build a base out of a Sentinel camp and the ethics and morals of that, and trying to get people back on their side. I like X-Men in a world that hates and fears them more than I like them on an island alone, so this is my jam. I like Krakoa. I just think it ran a little long. This is a really cool post-Krakoa story. X-Men number 7. Those are my favorite books for the week of November 6th. They're going to be X-Men number 7, Ultimates number 6, Saga number 70, Public Domain number 10, Poison Ivy number 27, My Adventures with Superman number 6, Birds of Prey 15, Avengers vs. Aliens number 2, and finally, Absolute Superman number 1. If you're only going to pick up one book, I would probably say Absolute Superman number 1 because it is crazy and it's a cool jumping on point. It's a very approachable comic book. It's an easy thing to get into if you've never read a comic in your life. And that's really cool. I love that DC is making comic books so approachable. And just like with New 52, when one company does well, all companies do well. Like if people get in comic stores, it elevates them all. Ultimates back in 2000 and that started this year all elevated the comic game. So I think it is absolutely essential for these reinventions to get new comic fans in the door. Okay, so usually I would give my favorite comics, or I'd recommend comics from the upcoming week. But I didn't get a chance to recommend comics from the week of the 13th. So since that was only a few days ago, I'm going to recommend some comics for the last Wednesday. And then this weekend, or this Thursday, I'll be giving you my favorite comics that I'm hoping are great for the day before is the goal. So the comics that I would recommend for the week of the 13th, I'm just selecting my publishers here. I'm going to be checking this out on Cover Price. Highly recommend you check out Cover Price if you haven't. They are delightful. They're both excellent dudes, but it's also a really good resource for what covers look like, what new teams are on books, and if you collect, it is a real-time price guide that aggregates all of the values at like Mile High, eBay, My Comic Shop, price guides like general price guides, and tells you what your comics are worth according to the price scale. So like good, very good, fine, very fine, like all that stuff. So Cover Price, they're amazing. It's like the back of the Wizard magazine from back in the day, but online. All right, so the comics I would recommend you check out from Marvel for this past week, not in 2 days from now, from a few days ago. From the 13th, I would recommend checking out Amazing Spider-Man 61, Captain America 15, Conquest 2099 number 3, Deadpool number 8, NYX number 5. That book is so good. Psylocke number 1, Spectacular Spider-Man number 9, Star Wars Ewoks number 2, Ultimate X-Men number 9, Uncanny X-Men number 5, Venom 39, Venom War 3, Venom War Wolverine 3, Venom War Deadpool 3, and World Finite Red Band number 4. Now remember, I do these in order of the most amount of books from each publisher. So basically, there was 15 books from Marvel this week. There are 11 books I'm checking out from DC this week. From DC, I'm going to be checking out Absolute Batman number 2. Again, great jumping on point. Only 2 issues into new continuity. Action Comics 1075, Batman and Robin 15, Batman Dark Age number 6, Batman Uncovered number 1, a nice collection of covers to experience the art, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age number 6, Black Lightning number 1, great jumping on point, DC vs. Vampires World War V number 4, Green Lantern 17, and Multiverses Collision Detective number 5. Over from Image, I'm going to be checking out The Domain number 5. G.I. Joe number 1 is amazing. I went to a G.I. Joe screening, and Josh Williamson, Kirkwood were there doing a Q&A, and this book is so delightful. They gave everyone in the crowd an exclusive cover. Rifters number 6, Sam and Twitch. Case Files number 6 from Image. Over from Dark Horse, checking out Arcbound number 1. That is from Scott Snyder, writer of Absolute Batman, as well as The Court of Owls and lots of other great stuff. He's teamed up with Tom Hardy. Yes, that Tom Hardy to write a comic book called Arcbound. Definitely recommend checking that out. Also from Dark Horse this week, Helen of Windhorn number 6. That is from Tom King and Bilks Eagley, the team behind Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and it is also exceptional. Loving that title over there. From Boom Studios, we got Power Rangers Prime number 1, and that is going to do it for the comics from the week of the 13th. Spidey is in a cozy spot. He is vibing so good. All right, let's see here. Let's check these super chats. Thank you very much for these super chats, by the way, you lovelies. Like I said, comic books don't do as well as far as clicks, so if you could also hit that like, but the super chats are how I'm able to, well, one, I buy a lot of comics, but two, it allows me to say no to some paid gigs to keep growing this page, because it takes so much time to grow a personal page. I have to sometimes say no just for the amount of hours in the day. As it is, I don't sleep. But the comic stuff, if I was just doing this for business, I would have cut the comic stuff. The movie videos are almost profitable, and the comic stuff is at a loss, so every super chat really helps. So thank you. Truly, it means the world. Let's see. Darth Nazgul says, my pre-order of Batgirl number 1 came a week late, but it was worth the wait. Felt like a continuation of the 2000 run, and Cassandra Cain is my favorite hero of all time. Heavy on plot, but still not heavy on plot, but still fun. I agree. Batgirl number 1, I liked it in love. It does feel like a continuation of Cassandra Cain. I think it was a good setup. It's not heavy on plot. It's very like action-oriented and kind of a recap. But I think that allows for a really cool launching point for new fans. So I think that's the point of a number 1, right? So I completely agree with everything you're saying here. I'm so bummed it got to you a week late, but I love that you pre-ordered a comic, and I love that you enjoy the process, and that means a lot to me. So thank you for the super chat, thank you for reading comics, and thank you for your thoughts on Batgirl number 1. Gareth says, is there a comic character or story that you would love to see in film or TV that hasn't been adapted yet? I want to see my boy Ben Reilly. I love Ben Reilly so very much. I think the Clone Saga, if done right, would be a fascinating existential crisis, a mental lapse, the man who takes on too much responsibility that doesn't get to be himself, is, a very interesting, like a psychotic break of like an existentialism of, he sees a younger, vibrant, I mean, obviously not younger directly, but the blonde, the whole thing. I think Ben Reilly's a great commentary on like having a crisis, so I'd love to see that personally. But new character, in case Clone doesn't count, I want to see Kyle Rayner so bad. Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern. I love that his creativity as an artist is what really helps him use his power. I think Kyle Rayner is fascinating. So yeah, Kyle Rayner and Ben Reilly are the two I want to check out. Most of all, Michael McCarcel saying, I am so excited about this new Power Rangers run. We lost the show, but the comics have been fantastic since Boom got their hands on the property. Boom, man. Boom is so consistent and incredible. I got a lot of love for those guys over there, and I think they really do a great job publishing, like Image in the 90s. Like, Image is always killing it, but they've been killing it so long, like, I don't feel like they get the credit they deserve. Whereas Boom is like that fresh new face, killing it anew. Let's see if I can... Okay. There we go. Okay, let's see if... I'm going to put the comics here, and maybe they'll be lit up, and then, yeah, this might work. All right, so we have gotten 2 comics coming out that are in the store right now. We have talked about my favorite comics from the week of November 6th. We have talked about the news, and we've had a major tech glitch that caused a number of people to have to drop out, which I totally respect and understand. But a lot of you are still here. And the new form of this show is bagging and boarding comics, because that is something I love to do. But as we are 40 minutes in, I'm going to take a little sip of coffee. I'm going to vibe for a moment. Make sure my hands are completely dry. And then we're going to bag and board some books. All right, so people always ask, how do I read my comics? How do I get some comics? I read about half digitally, because a lot of publishers will send me the digital copy so I can read them to review them. I will read many sent to me in the mail. Like a couple publishers, there's certain books that I get sent so I can talk about them. And most of the ones that I read in hard copy are ones I buy. I like supporting local comic shops. Golden Apple is amazing on Melrose. House of Secrets is amazing in Burbank on Olive Avenue. those are kind of my go-to shops. And what I personally do, by the way, House of Secrets, they got broken into recently, and they had a ton of valuable comics stolen, and also just the break-ins, and it cost them a lot. They've got a GoFundMe right now. I personally, if you can afford it or not, if you want to share that news, but what I'm doing is anything I'm buying for the rest of the year is going to be at House of Secrets. So I'm going to try to only get back issues there. I'm going to try to support them. So if you've got a comic fan in your life, or if you're a comic fan, I think they ship. So even if you're not in LA and if you want to help out a local comic shop, even if it's not your local comic shop, they just went through it, and House of Secrets is absolutely amazing. I love these guys dearly, so that's what I'll be doing for the next little bit. But I want to bag and board some comics with you lovelies. So what I love is the act of actually bagging and boarding. It's meditative for me. The way I do it is I put the flap in the front, the tall flap. So we got Absolute Batman #1. We've got the board already inserted. I did that off camera. And then I put the back of the comic to the smooth side of the board, and then the flap in the front. And then I didn't bring my tape out here because I was in a rush because it was early. But then I taped in the back, and then you got this nice, clean, succinct, beautiful copy of Absolute Batman #1. First printing, by the way. All tucked away. And basically, I read it once, bag, board, tape, put it away. And then if I read this comic again, it's probably going to be digitally. Anything older than the early 2000s, I tend to read digitally, even if I own a copy, just because I want to keep it in pristine condition. I don't personally like slabbing books, like CGCing them, because then it does feel like it's an artifact. Bagging and boarding is enough protection for me, and I don't ever plan to really sell my comics, so it's you know, it's the way I like to do it personally. Some people go differently. Some people, I would never store them not bagged and boarded. But yeah, so that was Absolute Batman #1. Also got Absolute Superman #1, talked about that. That was one of my favorites from the week of November 6th. Really, really love this whole new imprint. Really enjoy everything that DC is doing with the Absolute line. They announced it in New York. We're getting an Absolute Flash, an Absolute Green Lantern, and an Absolute Martian Manhunter. So, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, both amazing jumping on points. And where are we with the Holy Trinity if we don't include the absolutely incredible Absolute Wonder Woman? This is going to be a nice foil cover. Both comic stores sold out of Absolute #1 of Wonder Woman within moments. So I got this here beautiful cover of Absolute Wonder Woman. One day I'll find the regular cover, but for now I had to have it. Alright, then we've got another variant of Absolute Wonder Woman #1 from the great and powerful Scotty Young. Thing of beauty. So then what I do, just in case you're curious, is in addition to bagging and boarding, I put all mine in long boxes. So basically what I would do is, this is going to be the Absolute imprint. So I personally would have these as a new section in my DC boxes. So it would be Absolute Batman, followed by Absolute Superman, followed by Absolute Wonder Woman, because I'm going to go alphabetical. So Absolute Batman #2, which comes out this week, would go right here, etc., etc., etc. And then once it gets to like 10 or so issues, I put a divider up, but they'd be alphabetical. So B comes before S, comes before W, and then numerically after that. And this would fill up a box pretty quickly because, you know, I get variant covers and stuff in this title. I personally put the main cover first, and then the variants behind it. So Absolute Wonder Woman, when I get the regular cover, is going to go here, then the Scotty Young, then the chromium cover behind that. If all that makes sense. All right, and then we got a Creature Commandos issue that is actually a Frankenstein Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. So this is a reprint of an incredible Jeff Lemire comic. It is from, man, I want to say early 2000s, but it's got the cover to reflect the new show, Creature Commandos. A great way to get people to discover some of the source material. Creature Commandos is not very tied to the actual comic book, so you don't have to read them, but if you do, checking out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't hurt, so I love that putting the cover of the comic to mirror the hype for the show. Show drops December 7th. Highly recommend it. You should be very excited for it. I mentioned this before, but G.I. Joe. I got this Tony Fleece variant cover from going to that G.I. Joe event. Very excited about that. Got mixed in with all this glory. Highly recommend you check out G.I. Joe #1. It is fantastic, over from Skybound and Image. And then we've got, well, this isn't out yet, don't tell anyone. Catwoman #70 is a thing of beauty. Very, very good stuff. And then this is one of my my babies. This is going to be the incredible chromium cover of Absolute Superman, like absolutely stunning by Jim Lee, right there. Love this cover, thing of beauty. And to pair with that, an Absolute Batman #1 chromium from Jim Lee as well. Now, a lot of people, I don't personally like. See, this one is. I don't like to store 2 comics in one thing. I know it's more efficient, but I personally just don't like to. So I'm going to be taking out Catwoman right here, and it's just going to be this stunner of Absolute Superman right there. May or may not be signed by Jim Lee. All right, then we've got Absolute Batman. So I'm going to be putting the Batman and Superman together, and away we go. All right, let's want that as boards. All right, how's the chat doing? We still got folks vibing. I don't know. A lot of people. I've seen people who too. I don't get it. It hurts me. I did that to get it safely home. I would not keep 2 books in one bag. Some people do. I've seen it. A lot of people commented, on old videos. That's what they do. Whatever floats your boat, keep your comics safe. I just could not. It's to save on money and fun. But man, oh man, G.I. Joe animated film. It was excellent. It was insane. It was quite an experience. House Secrets is the best. Definitely check them out online if you can support. Hell yeah, RWP. Cedar is good. Michael McCarcel, shout out to your local comic shops, everyone. I got a Louisiana double play here in Baton Rouge. Michael McCarcel shouting out Louisiana double play out in Baton Rouge. All right. People, Tia Foster, what did you put on your list? I'm very curious. Yeah, single book per for me. Hell yeah, agreed. All right, so if anyone doesn't bag and board, that's what I was trying to speak on earlier. So basically, we got flap up front. There's a smooth side and a coarse side. I personally do smooth side to face the comic, flap up front, and then you got your comic right here, goes tucked in. These bags have a little strip of 1 stick, and then boom, I'm going to tape up the other ones I've already done after. There's your Catwoman number 70, all tucked in and beautiful. And now she is complete. All right, let's see what else we got. This is going to be a very DC heavy day. I'm going to go back to DC in a moment, but let's do some Marvel books. I got some Boom under here, I got some Image under here, but Marvel's on this stuff. We got X-Men number 7, one of my favorites from last week. Highly recommend. Thing of beauty right there. I'm going to go ahead, seal that up. And this is about 1/3 of the comics I need to bag and board, so when I come back on Thursday or Friday, we'll be doing this again. I definitely think I'm going to need a couple bonus episodes of this, so hopefully if these videos do well, maybe I'll just do a bagging and boarding. Also think I'm going to do an episode where I go into my long boxes. I've got 3 X-Men comics I recently got that are from my first 100 X-Men. So I'm only 97 issues from every single X-Men in print, and I got 3 of those. So once I put these in their box, I'm 94 issues from every X-Men ever in print. Uncanny, X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force, Wolverine, all the stuff. So I think it'd be fun to go through, and as I put those in, they're like Silver Age beauties. Add them to my collection. Might be fun to do that with you, lovely. But that's going to take some setting up, because I got to pull the long boxes out and stuff. So this is the Opens number 6 I talked about. And yeah, I tape mine the old-fashioned way for a lot of them, but these bags are pretty dope. I actually ordered these bags. My comic shop ran out, and I had to get bags off Amazon. Didn't make me happy, but I had to do it just because mine ran out. So these bags are actually off Amazon, but I recommend supporting your local comic shop, because Amazon doesn't need your money. Your local comic shop absolutely does. Look at this beautiful variant of Action Comics 1075. Oh, it's stunning. Love it. There we go right here. Spidey Cat is right there. He's doing great work. Fur bags with self-adhesive on the body, not the flap prevent tape sticking in the book on the way in and out. Yeah, that's always terrifying. I completely agree. That's like trauma for me. You just saying that. I remember so many times being like, oh god, everything's ruined. Alright, then we got our Saga number 70 right here. Look at that cover. Look at that stunning Fiona Staples cover. My god. Also, this book is printed completely on black. So, much like Amazing Spider-Man number 300. Now, granted, that was an oversized issue, so it caused more problems. But, like, say, Amazing Spider-Man number 28, I believe, was also printed on, like, from 1963. is also, it's a multi-man cover, is also printed on all black. So this issue is going to be very hard to keep pristine. So I've read it once, now it's going on the bag and board. We'll probably read this digitally going forward because every time you open this book, it has the potential to crease on black, which is going to deteriorate the whole thing. So printing stuff on black is a great way for it to get more valuable, but also very tricky to read. So this Saga number 7 is probably going to be up there in value. I see the likes going up in this video. I appreciate that very, very much. We got 65 likes on this video. I appreciate it. Like I said, comic stuff, it's always very, very tricky. But boom, we got that beautiful copy of Saga right there. All right, we got another 15 minutes or so. If you guys want to get any super chats or streamlabs in, I'm also checking the regular live chat. Douglas McKinney, rocking down the chat, loving on the Saga. Much appreciate you, sir. Actually, you know what? This one goes out to Michael McCarcel. This one in right here. This issue. Give me a special shout out. He can probably guess what this is, but we're into the Michael McCarcel section. Gonna be right there. Got 109 of Old Nightwing, the Tom Taylor run that he and I both loved absolutely dearly. What a stunner of a cover. Boom. And then Lord Insidious, these pillows I got off of Etsy. I had the pillows inside, but their pillowcases were boring. So it's just the pillowcases I ordered off of Etsy. They're pretty rad. You can get like all sorts of different people's faces, you know, as Civil War generals. And I thought it was funny because I want everything in my place to be art, even my pillows. So I try to have every surface be some sort of thing that makes me happy. Like that Marie Kondo thing, they spark joy. So I got these silly, silly pillows. Winston! Oh, I'm live. That's right. Oh, I'm live. What up, man? How you doing? Yeah, I'm bagging on board in comics. And basically I figured that was a cool way to spend the time I'd spend vibing with folks and show people how to bag and board books, including this stunner of a Nightwing 108. Again, for Michael McCarcel. There it is. My local comic shop owner is not a nice person. Sad. That sucks. Check out another shop. Like, order offline. Support local, even if it's not your local. Because a local comic shop somewhere will have a nice owner, and they will be great to you. I recommend House of Secrets and Golden Apple. Personally, I've got some bias because they're my local shops, but yeah. Let's see. Everybody's shouting out Winston. He is still shocked. Let's see here. RWP saying hi. Tia saying hi. Badoodle. Also, by the way, you lovelies, Winston is like the opposite of my channel in that he is so good at editing and so good at lighting and so good at sound good. The tech is opposite. So all of my rudimentary chaos, Winston is the other way. He is killing it. So if you see a Winston A. Marshall in the chat, you should head right on over to his page and subscribe because he is crushing it over there. He's got some really good stuff. This is a thing of beauty right here. Look at that. Absolute Superman #1. Got that nice chromium cover, rocking the crest. And then we got a second copy because it's valuable. And your boy wanted one to read and one to never open again out of fear of it getting messed up. And this is going to be my, the other one is my reader. This is my keep it safe, keep it secret, keep it safe. Absolute #1. Clayton Crook. Random Q from Clayton Crook. Did Nolan ever release any comics for his Batman universe? Also, how do you think Prophecy will connect to the rest of the Doom universe? Great 2 questions there, Clayton. Nolan didn't have any comics directly tied. There was supposed to be a Nolan video game that got canceled. I don't think any comics ever directly tied. There were like book adaptations like they always do, and there might have been like an unofficial like comic adaptation, but I don't think there was any canonical comics from the Nolan era. To my knowledge, there was supposed to be a video game, like I said, and then there's always those novelizations, but I don't consider the novelizations canon. That said, the Doom universe, I think, is going to connect via the Prophecy. I mean, right there in the name. But I think we're going to see, you know, the birth of the Bene Gesserit is going to be tied directly into what happens later with the Atreides, and we're also seeing the birth of the Atreides Harkonnen rivalry, which I think is really interesting. It's all sorts of really cool stuff. As far as long game, short game is tricky because we're not going to see any direct time because they're like 10,000 years apart. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys one more different thing. But thank you very much for the super chat. Hopefully that answered your question. I think it is just like very distant connections via the lore and mythology. I'm going to get a thing of scissors. I'll be right back. Don't leave, you lovelies. I think you guys might find this interesting as well. All right, so I had never seen, until I started getting them myself, how publishers mail comics, not to comic stores, but to people, or to like small batches. So this is what comics come in when they're mailed from a publisher. So I get some comics from Boom Studios because I work with them at cons, I host their panels, I did their Hall H with Keanu Reeves. They actually just sent me this not too long ago. Actually, shit, this was a few months ago now. This is Keanu Reeves' book, The Book of Elsewhere, so they are incredible. Boom has been so supportive, and I love helping them out, and they are one of the best groups of publishers I've ever worked with. I love the actual company themselves, but they sent me comics in these, and I thought you guys might find it interesting because I'd collected comics for 29 years until I saw these. So this is what comics come in when they're going to an individual. They're shipped in the mail, and they're hard to open because they're very protected, these comics. So you carefully take scissors to the box itself so as to avoid, because there's a protective layer in this between me cutting and the comic. But it still makes me nervous to have scissors even within inches of a comic book. Let's see. Yeah, that absolute soups cover is gorgeous. Thank you, Lord and Seas. I agree. Alright, so, once you get it open, you got this protective layer in here, and this is how comics come in the mail. So, and we got from Boom, Something is Killing the Children, number 1. I believe this is the 3rd printing right here. Thing of Beauty right there. And then we've also got Profane issue 4, a Profane variant here, a Profane Virgin variant here, no text whatsoever, and then one final Profane variant here. So this is all Profane number 4, but in 4 different editions, including the main. So that is how comics get shipped. In case you guys ever wonder, I've got a few. If you see the brown things sitting around my house, those are our comic shipments in. So those are the things coming at me. So I think, you know what, let's do a few more. I want to definitely make sure I'm having fun, and whoever's left in here, this might hurt the watch time, but I'm having fun. Let's do a few more. I'm going to bag and board these Profane. Let's see. I saw the Tyler Durden ones in the swoon, so I had to ask. Yeah, the Things of Beauty. I love those silly pillows. I appreciate that very much. Which is yin, which is yang. Who is yin and yang? I must have said yin and yang earlier, and I totally forgot about my own statement. I'm getting my monthly shipment of floppies this week to save money and storage. I'm down to less than 20 per month. I mostly read on Marvel and DC's apps, plus I do Saga on Kindle. Did not know Saga was on Kindle. Douglas McKinney, thank you very much. Doug McKinney is one of the biggest proponents of my podcast, and I appreciate him very much. You guys haven't checked out Koicast, me and Jake Lloyd Bacon, breaking down lots of comic stuff, lots of pop culture stuff, just Koicast. Type in Koicast anywhere you check out your pods. Douglas McKinney, I met through that chaos and has been an absolute delight. Much love for the man. And he just taught me a thing. I did not know those Saga comics ever appeared on Kindle. So we talked a little Boom, talked a little Image, talked a lot of DC, talked a little Marvel. I think we covered all of the things. I think that is going to do it, you absolute lovelies. I appreciate each and every super chat in here. I appreciate each and every one of you in the live just chatting it up. I appreciate all these likes. Helps this channel grow. Helps these videos grow. If you're not subscribed yet, please do. I'm so close to 40K. We're growing this beast fast. I really want to hit 40K by the end of this year. The goal is 40K by the end of this year, 50K first quarter next year, and then I want to double that. I'm going to hit 100K at some point next year. Next year is so stacked. Going to be covering lots of comic book shows, lots of comic book movies. Next year we got like 9 Marvel MCU properties. We then also have Spider-Man Noir. We've got the birth of the DCU this year with Creature Commandos that I'm going to be covering everywhere. Creature Commandos, I'm going to be doing reactions at Rejects. I'm going to be doing reviews here. I'm going to be talking about it all over the place. And next year is the birth of the new Superman era, so I'm very excited to talk about Superman. So this page, I'm going to be doing stuff almost daily. If I look at my schedule, it's pretty crazy. Very excited about that. So this week, I'm going to be doing this, and then another one of these on Thursday or Friday, depending on how fast I can read, covering the comics from the week of the 13th, and then previewing the comics for the week of the 20th, and whatever news happens between now and then. And then on Sunday, Dune Prophecy Episode 2. On Thursday, gonna be reviewing Wicked, if all goes well. I think I'm seeing Wicked just like at a regular theater, the earliest showtime I can, and then I'll put up a review right there. This Wednesday, I'm seeing Werewolves, the new Frank Grillo film, so I'm either going to do an out of the theater on Wednesday or it'll go up on Friday. So you can count on a Werewolves review, a Wicked review, a Dune Prophecy 2 review on Sunday, and another live at some point this week. Hopefully that is enough on here to get people subscribing. Also, someone asked whatever happened to Larry's. Larry's was my childhood shop that I loved dearly. It was in Lowell. Lowell's where I worked, where I'm from, and it was on Lakeview, and then he moved to Chelmsford, and then something happened in Chelmsford where I think the building like got sold or something that he was in. I don't know the details, I was out here by then. When I was there, it was always the Lowell shop, and I miss it so much. That Lowell shop was special. I worked there sometimes on weekends. That was my first like pop in to con life. Larry's was a really special spot. I still have a bunch of Larry shirts, and that was like near and dear to me. Okay, I'm gonna check on these chats one last time before I get out of here. Olivia Ray Dredge, I'm having a great time. Thank you for answering my questions. I'm Clayton Crook. What up, man? And I'm so happy I could answer your questions. And I'm so happy that you're using your girlfriend's account so you can be in 2 places at once. 2 shout outs. That's right, Michael McCarcel. Nightwing is yours. I just finished reading the entirety of Something's Killed the Children. Great series. Hell yeah, it is. I love that very, very much. Yeah, I love that. Like, Michael McCarcel loves Nightwing so much. I consider it his character. Like, I think of the dude when I'm reading Nightwing. I'm like, yeah, you probably like this issue. Tyler Adams, what did you miss? A great streak. I hope you enjoy it when you watch it back. I hope you watch it back. I hope you hit that like. Thank you for playing it back, Tyler Adams. I appreciate you. We talked Denzel. We talked the quotes from Liz Olsen and Ryan Reynolds. We talked Fantastic Four Synopsis. We talked all about the potential of Theo Rossi being Scarecrow. I will rest. 2026, I think I'm getting married that year. I was going to get married next year, but it's so busy. I don't know if I'm going to have time for a wedding next year. Caveman, Spaceman, thank you very much. Thank you. I plugged it a lot, RWP. I'm plugging the hell out of Koicast. Spider Sensei, I'm actually talking to someone today about graphics for Koicast shirts. Sorry, not Koicast shirts. Koicast has shirts. I'm talking to someone today about Koijandro shirts. I've got some ideas. I'm hoping to have them up before Thanksgiving. If I can get a designer to design them within the week and have them up, my goal is definitely by Christmas. My hope is by Thanksgiving. I want to have shirts badly. I've got a bunch of ideas. I just need them designed. I'm not a designer. I really hope I can see eye to eye with something and get it made. Caught you last minute during lunchtime. Be well and keep it good content, Koi. Thank you, VRed24. Michael, I did shout out the podcast twice on the stream. Thrice at the end there. That's totally real. I do occasionally do live streams. Yeah, it is a fast turnaround. It's probably not likely, but that's the goal. One of the designs was really simple to launch the store, so maybe that's possible. We will see. Let's get out of here, you lovelies. I was hoping for an hour, and you guys rocked out with me for an hour, which I appreciate very much. You guys rocked out through all the tech chaos, which I appreciate very much. I had such a good time bagging and boarding with you lovelies. Check out the new Batman All In. It is amazing. Check out Joe Kelly getting on Spider-Man. Joe Kelly is one of my favorite writers. He's writing Spidey now. Check out Absolute Batman. You're only 2 issues in. Very excited about it. Check out The Uncanny X-Men. It has been great on relaunch. Check out Everything Ultimate. I'm so impressed with that universe, just as I am with Absolute. Check out Deadpool, because he's great. Those are the next comments on the bag and board once we get out of here. Oh, there's more bags. Thought I had another thing of bags. There they are. All right. Much love, you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you, as always, to Comic Books for existing. I appreciate you caring about comic content. I appreciate you jumping the live stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. Leave a like on this video on your way out. Leave a comment below letting me know of these comics, what you're most excited to check out. Let me know of this bagging and boarding, what you didn't know before. Let me know who you think Denzel Washington is playing in Black Panther 3. Let me know how your day is, because I hope it's good. This was a fun morning with you guys. To comics and coffee, and to cats, Spidey's girl right here. Until next time, much love. I'll see you guys soon, probably Thursday. Bye. Oh, and how was the audio? Was it okay? I took off my mic. Is it okay? Just ambient noise? Let me know. Okay, bye.